When was the exact moment you realized that it was over? Story 8.
He thought I was not like other women and called me a gold digger when I said I was. I was never under the illusion that my tech bro husband, Jim, was in any way magnanimous. We dated because we had the same hobby, gaming. Our first date was at a hot dog stand and we paid separately. Our second date was at a coffee shop and he was running late, so he said I should order for him. Subsequent dates were at fast food joints or diner. Sometimes he paid, sometimes I did. We never went to somewhere expensive, or what he thought was expensive. I had known that about him from the start, but I was okay with it. Or I thought I was. It's not that he's poor. He had a high-paying job. I could also afford to splurge a little myself. But he always told me it's wasteful to spend money. For our wedding, I was excited to make it as good as possible. I already had a feeling he wouldn't like spending anything at all, if I'm being honest. So I planned it as frugal as possible but without compromising what I liked. So that meant I wouldn't have a fairy tale wedding, but at least it would be in the colors and theme that I wanted. I had everything on an Excel sheet, the budget and the to-do list. I was meticulous. I listed down the things that I wanted and looked for the most affordable suppliers. When I asked him what he wanted for the wedding, he said he wanted it to be as cheap as possible. When I gave him the file, he started going on about the expense. I told him I'd take care of it. But apparently, even me spending my own money was an abomination to him. He told me we shouldn't be spending that much for just a short event. Essentially, he vetoed all that I chose and said he'd take care of it. By the way, he didn't get me a ring. He just told me it's time we got married since we loved each other anyway. Also, it's because it's practical living together. He took care of it, all right. He asked his brother if we could have our wedding in his backyard and he just rented plastic chairs and tables. He bought just one dish from a caterer and it was a self-serve style. No champagne or wine. We toasted with beer. It was summer but there were no refreshments available. There were also no flowers. Just a cheap, just married, signage. My dress, the only thing I insisted I would buy for myself, was returned to the shop when he found out the price. He then just asked his sister to lend me a white dress. And that's it. I was crying before our wedding. I was so embarrassed. I had friends and coworkers invited. They all knew that none of it was my style. And it was painfully obvious that everything was cheap. My sister didn't want me to go through it. She could see the disappointment in my eyes. She knew I wouldn't want this for myself. His sister and Asael were also sympathetic, but they convinced me that Jim loved me so much that he made the wedding work within his own budget. I knew he loved me. And I loved him too. I went through with the wedding. 2 years later, I was miserable. I didn't feel treasured. On the contrary, I felt like I was an unnecessary expense that prevented him from living his best life. He would choose the cheapest option when it involved me, but he wouldn't bat an eye when buying anything for himself. He never bought me anything good. He would buy food deliveries sometimes when didn't have cooked food at home, but he would only buy the most basic deal from a fast food, never mind if I didn't like the option. For special occasions like Christmas or my birthday, he would buy me something that we needed for the house, like a coffee machine, he was the coffee drinker, not me, or an apron, I cooked but I didn't enjoy it, or an ugly laptop bag, it was a freebie from the new laptop he bought for himself. I would buy the groceries but he would insist I buy off-brands if I would exclusively use the items. For example, he saw the brand I preferred for my sanitary brands and other hygiene products. He lectured me about buying expensive brands when we could have used the difference for other more important things. I bought the groceries with my own money, by the way. We do not have joint accounts. He reiterated more than once that his money is his because he worked so hard for it. Like I don't. I stopped buying makeup that I wanted, which was one of my splurges before. I had to hide my purchase when I needed to replenish my stash. I stopped buying things that I liked and made me happy. I stopped buying yarns for my crochet hobby when he insisted I buy a made one from a thrift store then just use that yarn. I mean, he wasn't completely unreasonable at that one because even now I still do that, but I still want new yarns sometimes. For his part, nothing changed. He still bought the newest consoles and the expensive PCs and games. When I asked him why he needed the new one, he said he didn't think that I would have to question him, given that I was a gamer as well. That supposedly justified the expense, I guess. Also, it was his money, he reminded me. That was my life for 2 years until I overheard him arguing with my sister. It was a cousin's wedding and my sister was one of the bridesmaids. The wedding was a grand affair. My cousin and his fiancée went all out to make everything look beautiful and classy. My sister looked so wonderful in her lilac one-shoulder dress. I admit I was jealous of the wedding because it was how I originally envisioned my own to be. Even when we received the invitation, I heard my husband mutter that the stationery alone looked crazily expensive and that it was just wasteful. I told them they could afford it and he countered that we also could afford it, but we were practical people and not show-offs like the couple getting married now. When we arrived at the venue, it was on a 4-star hotel, he scoffed at how materialistic my cousin was. We had met his fiancée before and Jim thought she was shallow. He kept on going how my cousin was obviously P*SSY whipped because no man in his right mind would spend this much for a stupid wedding. I tried to keep my cool because that wasn't the time and place to ask him if he also thought about our wedding stupid. During the reception, I left him to use the bathroom. When I returned, I heard him arguing with my sister. Apparently, he couldn't wait to tell anyone who would listen how wasteful the whole thing was. My sister told him he was just cheap. This infuriated Jim, who proudly told her that she should learn from her sister, me, because apparently, I wasn't like other girls, who liked superficial things, unlike my cousin's bride. There's a small miracle that fortunately, only the serve staff heard him because they were isolated in a room. But I was exactly like other girls, whatever that meant. He said like it was so degrading to be classified as such when I was in fact a girl and acted like one. My sister, wanting to wipe the smugness off his face, told him that I was crying before I walked down the aisle because of how our wedding looked and felt so cheap. I was so humiliated and was ready to bolt, but his family just convinced me to stay. The whole family looked down at our wedding and I knew it, she said. And now I couldn't even pamper myself with my own money because of his holier-than-thou attitude that all women were superficial. I didn't think Jim's face could get any redder at that point. He wasn't a violent man, but it looked like he would really want to hit my sister. I had to show myself to protect her. And just like that, his anger was now directed at me. He knew I heard what she said and wanted me to deny all that. I told him simply that all of it was true. And that I am like any other woman. He almost spat in my face when he called me a gold digger. I asked him what gold he was talking about because I was living in squalor with him compared to how I was before we got married. My sister had to physically put herself in front of me in case he struck me. He didn't, but I could see that he was so humiliated that I knew he wanted to. I told him he could leave because my sister could take me home. And he left. And then I cried, not because he did, but because for the first time in years, I finally realized that I didn't deserve any of it. The insults didn't end there. Like the coward that he is, he had to tell everyone that our marriage failed because I was materialistic. I think the best thing about him posting it online was that he got just a few reactions, even from his own family, and one of his cousins responded, "But your wedding was really cheap." My sister screenshot that for posterity's sake. Him saying I wasn't like any other girls was the moment I realized that I wanted to get out of the nightmare that was my marriage. And I thank my sister had the audacity to put him in place. I now spend my money as freely as I can. I now enjoy spending my own money and don't have to feel guilty for buying new skeins of yarn or for buying a new eyeshadow set. No one is shaming me for buying a favorite brand of peanut butter, and not the off-brand that I was forced to endure. I just love being financially free now.
If you liked this story, please give it a like. Help the channel out by sharing the video and following us for more everyday people's stories. Check out past videos too while you're here. Thank you very much.